Hey guys, we're live. Welcome back to Whiskey Charlie, the War Game Chat, our live show every month. I'm Mo from Mo's Game Table, and joining me tonight is my co-host. No co-hosts tonight. I only have one, and that is everyone's favorite Gimp with the Limp, Nate Rogers, the Gimpy Gamer. Hey Nate, how's it going?
Going great. It's good to see everyone again.
It is.
Been a little while since we've done this.
Yeah, it has been a little bit of time, but I was on vacation this past month and it kind of threw some stuff off. So I apologize for that. But joining us tonight, we have Bill Thomas, president and owner of Compass Games, and really proud to have him on the show. And thanks for joining us, Bill. Welcome to the show.
Well, thanks for having me.
So how you been? How's things going in Connecticut right now?
Yeah, they're going.
They're going, huh? How's the weather?
Yeah.
Oh, is that a freeze already? Yeah, we already had our first internet freeze, brought to you by Applebee's.
It's hot.
That's what it is. It's heating up your internet.
It's very hot.
Yeah.
That's what I agree.
I think I can beat you on the heat. It's 95 here with like 75% humidity.
Humidity, you'll beat us. I think you'll beat everybody on, although it's been very hot and real humid up in the Northeast as well.
Yeah, no, we've got to be around 70% humidity up here too.
Mm-hmm.
And we hit low 90s. So
yeah,
we're close.
We're right now, it's cool. I was just looking it up. It's cool right now in Texas. It's only 80 degrees at 7 o'clock at night. So
well, I'll tell you, it's that humidity that kills you. When I was over in Iraq, it could get up to 130, and it didn't really feel that bad because it was all dry heat,
Dry heat, exactly.
Seriously, like back home here in North Carolina, it is just horrible. You don't even want to move. It feels like you're walking through this just stew of heat. Oh, it takes it out of you.
Yeah, no, that definitely does take it out of you. That's for sure. But so the first thing I wanted to ask Bill is when it comes to Compass Games, you talk on your town hall show, and if you guys are not already subscribed to Compass Games YouTube channel, I strongly recommend you do it. Every other week, Bill and John sit down and do a really fantastic show, the town hall, where Bill gives a whole lowdown on Compass, really goes into good detail on different projects, the history of Compass, what he's doing. We talk Applebee's, things like that. There's a lot of, you'll get the Applebee's joke if you watch the show. But tell us a little bit more about, for the people who haven't seen the show yet, tell us a little about yourself and how you got into Compass and the myriad other things that you happen to be running, because Compass is not your only business.
Correct. Compass came about by, I went to a club that I didn't even know was like 20 minutes from my house since the 1980s, and I never was there, never went. So I decided to go, and I hear these two guys talking about, hey, we want to start a game company. And this was back in 2005, 2004 maybe. And
so this was a game club? This was a game club, not a not that type of club, right?
Not a game club.
Sorry, Bill, I'm just messing with you, buddy.
No, I'm with you. But I wish it was that kind of club, but it wasn't. So what happened was they were talking, and I overheard them, and I said, hey, I'm interested. Let's do it. And that's how it all started. And it was one partner left probably a year into it. And then the other partner left probably 2.5 years ago. Okay, when we did, and he's still working for me. Okay, but we decided he didn't want to be partners, and well, whatever. Okay. It was a mutual thing. And but so Compass Games have been around, but it was always a hobby. It was always fun to do. I would have my family collate the games on Saturday. We all go in and do it. It was just fun. We released maybe 1 or 2 games a year. Okay, then about maybe 3 years ago, I thought there was an opportunity to ramp it up, and some things changed in my life that made me think that my son graduated college, and I said, well, now I have somebody to take it over when I die. Okay, so something, you have a legacy issue.
Legacy, yeah.
And my thing was, because to do this for me is not really, I love it, don't get me wrong, but I wouldn't build a business at this time in this stage of my life for me to be out of it in 10, 15 years, where Bill
Sure.
can keep it going for 30, 40 years. So so in the last 3 years, we've really ramped up. And I think I saw that there was a opportunity in the industry that GMT was moving away from traditional war games. Not that they don't do them, but they're doing more not Euro games, but more on that end. So traditional war games, big maps, many maps, were not being done. And I thought there was a opportunity. So that's when I decided to ramp Compass.
Okay.
I'm back.
Well, and yeah, I know. and you're doing the same thing as well. Traders of the Air just came out, and Colonialism, all these games like this, you're diversifying as well for Compass by getting into some of those Euro style games. So that way you're not just doing war games, you're kind of broadening your horizons, so to speak.
Yeah, we have backed off on that. Okay, we have backed off on those. I wouldn't Stellar Horizons might be considered a Euro type war game. Okay, but other than that, we've really we're going to do a few more in the pipelines, but you won't see anything like Cargo Express, Traders, or Colonialism from us anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually got that on order. Stellar Horizons. I haven't got it in yet, but I have ordered it.
Yes,
so
that
I'm hoping to. Yeah, I'm hoping to cover it and get really in depth. I love the space theme.
That is we released that probably 2 months ago, and we're as good as out right now. The print run is gone. We sold out.
Have you guys, not trying to pry, but have you guys distributed to the retailers that are selling it?
Yes.
Okay, because that's actually, I had gotten a gift certificate for an online retailer, and I was like, okay, I'll use this and order Stellar Horizons from them. And I think it's still listed as pre-order, but I'm not entirely sure. I'd have to check again, but I'm still waiting on it from them.
Yeah, we shipped to all our distributors probably a week and a half ago.
Ah, perfect. Then it should be in my hands here soon.
Yep, but yeah, I think we probably got maybe 30 copies left in the warehouse.
So what you're saying is if you see it, for those watching the show, if you see it on your favorite online local game store or in your friendly local game store, make sure to pick up a copy because it's almost out in the warehouse. So when the distributor's out, they're out.
Yes.
So make sure you get a copy.
Yep.
That looks like a really cool game too. And I think it would definitely still fit within Compass's mold because even though it's not technically a war game, it's not even, and it's not sci-fi. It's really hard sci-fi. It is because there's fictional elements to it, but it's hard science fiction. So it does fit right into that same realm that war gamers will enjoy, that simulation model.
Yes. And we've already got an expansion being worked on for it. And we've got a pirate game and a Weimar Republic game that's in the works that I consider those like war game Euro style games. Mm-hmm. Okay, so those are really the end of our traditional Euro, even though they spread over. But you won't ever see us do a Cargo Express or another Traders of the Air. Those were true Euro games. And the problem is we don't have the time or the effort to really break into that market. Okay, when we're trying to work on Compass. So we decided to let that go.
But you don't know until you try.
Yeah, and now that doesn't say if some good game doesn't come along, I'm not going to do it. But it's not we are really focused on the historical war game, Euro war game type games.
Mm-hmm. Well, see, there's some games that I think don't really fit in the war game mold, but are more suited to being published by a publisher like Compass or GMT, just because of the types of components and the maps that you guys use. Something like Stellar Horizons, I couldn't see Fantasy Flight Games publishing that. It's just not in their wheelhouse. That does seem like something more that would fit with a publisher of your niche. You kind of get what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree.
And if it was Cool Mini or not, it would definitely be on Kickstarter, and it would be 150 $200, and it would have 300 different miniatures on it, and it would probably do well, but because the miniatures alone would be the big draw. But
Yes.
when it comes to Kickstarter, are you going to continue pursuing Kickstarter though as well for publishing your games, or are you going to be dialing that back?
No, Kickstarter, and I say this all the time, Kickstarter is not a funding source for us.
Mhm.
It's a revenue source, and there's a big difference. Okay, Kickstarter is not a thing where I need the funding to do the game. The game's coming out. Okay, and if you look, some of our Kickstarters, release is like 2-3 months. So it's not like I make a decision. What it is a revenue source, because I might get people who are might not be traditional war gamers who might go and give me a better price than I would get on distributor prices. So that it's only a revenue source. It's not a funding source from us.
Now
So
we do have.
Just a way to put.
I just wanted to jump in here real quick with a comment from Vex before we go any further, Nate. Vex said, "Good evening, all. I feel like my Applebee's analogy the other week that started the Applebee's madness is my greatest contribution to society." So he's a fellow viewer of the town halls shows, and that's why I said if you're not a viewer of the town hall show on the Compass YouTube channel, you need to make sure you do because there's a lot of little in jokes like this. So just wanted to throw that in there. Go ahead, Nate.
I blanked out. Wait, what were you talking about before you jumped in?
We were talking about Kickstarter as a funding source, not a funding, but a revenue source.
All right. So when you were talking about that aspect of it, are you saying that if you put out a game through Kickstarter, basically nothing's changing on your end, right? You're still producing it with the same people and making it and distributing it with the same people you would if you didn't go to Kickstarter, or you use different people if you go through Kickstarter? I kind of didn't understand what you were referring to there.
No, what I do is Kickstarter is like a pre-order system. Okay, that's what it is to me. So it's still, I'm still distributing to the same people. Okay, but I'm hoping to get more pre-orders or people backing the Kickstarter. Okay, because remember, when I sell to distributors, they take 55% off retail. So they're taking a big chunk of the profit or whatever. So when I sell a pre-order, it's only 25% or 30% off retail. So that's where Kickstarter offers me another opportunity to pick up pre-orders. And that's why it's a revenue driver for me. Because instead of giving a 55% discount, pre-orders are only 30% or 25%.
And see, I actually did a video talking about that aspect of it not too long back, a few weeks back. And the fact is it's not supposed to be that, but it's kind of what it's organically grown into with Kickstarter. And they say it all over it. Kickstarter isn't a pre-order system. You're not guaranteed anything. And people understand that for the most part, because there are board games that fail. But it works so well for people like you as a pre-order system, because it's that guaranteed money. You know how many people want your product. You know how many to produce. You can produce X amount extra for retailers if you want to. It works so well for you. I think they should be courting the hell out of you guys. Kickstarter should be contacting all of these board game companies, because, I mean, it just fits so well up your alley and what you're trying to produce.
Yes, it does.
Oh,
Gimpy's gal. She said hello.
And jumped in. So we did have a question here about the Weimar Republic game. Patrick Pictures asks, Weimar Republic game, what's that about, or what's it all about, and when does it start historically? So could you talk a little bit more about the Weimar Republic game, Bill?
Yes. There's a lot of things I don't want to say about it because it's really something we haven't advertised. Okay, and it's just in the artwork stage right now. Okay, now I might be wrong here, but I think it starts after World War I. Okay. So I think it goes from you get it before it becomes a Weimar Republic. Okay. I want to say 1920 or something. But right now, I don't really want to say much about that because it is something that we're working on, and
Sure.
it's really done overseas on this one. Okay, so I don't really want to go into a lot of detail on that. So I will say it's going to be historical. It's a great game, but like I said, it's too soon.
Sure.
For me to give specifics because it might change.
So you probably just gave John a whole bunch of agit over there because he's probably saying, "No, don't talk about that."
He doesn't even know about this one.
Oh, he doesn't.
Oh no, yeah. Oh no,
Hey, here's an exclusive for you, John.
Yeah, no, I didn't even tell him about this one. We have a little bit of fun where I don't tell him all my secrets, and I make him tell me his.
Now, Nick, he says, "I like Compass's Kickstarter model," and
Well,
we also have. What was that? Oh, Nick was saying that he likes Compass's Kickstarter model. I think we got Bill froze for a second there again. And speaking of which, Matt says it's time for Bill to put his foot down.
No, I'm back. I'm back.
And switch providers. His wife can invest in DVDs instead of streaming. So that was perfect timing.
Yeah. And Matt, I appreciate your comment, but I don't think I'd be living in this house very long. So the good thing is we contacted Frontier, and Frontier is actually coming out here and figuring out why it's so bad. Okay, so they are coming out to figure it out because it shouldn't be this bad.
Yeah.
So
is it just you, or is it everybody in your area is affected by it? Did you hear me, Bill?
No.
Oh, I was saying, is it just you that's affected, or is it everyone in your area is having the same problems?
Everybody who has Frontier in this area has issues. So that's why people are going to satellite and people are going to Comcast.
Oh yeah, that's happening a lot all over. Now, do you happen to have Fios in your area? Bill?
I guess it would be no.
I guess not. I think he might not be hearing me right now.
Well, I hear that. I don't know what it is.
Oh, fiber optic, super fast speeds, super fast internet. They don't have that.
I gotta have it. I don't know. I don't have it. Obviously.
I would check in your area and see if you can get Fios or
No, I'm sure they do. We're in Connecticut. I can't believe we don't have it. I just don't have it.
Yeah, that's tough. But one thing I do want to talk about real quick is Brief Border Wars, because I just did a review on that the other day, and I've got the game sitting up on my shelf over here. I'm reaching too far off screen, which is a great game. And you still have copies in the warehouse, correct?
Yes.
So if you have not gotten it, definitely get it before it does go out of print. But you are talking about 2, maybe 3 series within this line.
Yeah, we actually have one. We talked to Brian, and he's working on the next one.
That's going to be set post World War II or around World War II, I think it was.
No, pre-World War II.
Oh, pre-World War II. Okay. And how's that
between World War II? Yeah.
How's that doing for you?
Oh, he's working.
No,
good.
Yeah,
good.
This one, the volume 1 in the series.
Oh, good, because it makes me want to do more in the series. It's selling very well. So.
Excellent. Nate, your turn.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, can you give me a brief rundown of Border Wars? Because I haven't actually got to play that one yet. I've been a little preoccupied with 100 different things. What's Border Wars about? I might have to add it to the list.
Do it. I'll let Bill. Oh, you want me to explain it? Okay, I'll give you the sales pitch here. I'll put on your compass hat. Basically,
you're the key person.
What happened here was Brian did 4 games, did a quad pack, and he took a base set of 4 rules, 4 pages of rules, and that's the 4 base series rules. Each game within the box, because there's 4 of them, has their own rules. They're like 2.5, 3 pages. There's some optional rules in there you can use as well, which is one thing I failed to mention in my review. That will change things up or handicap one player over the other, but they all use the same base mechanics. And then you play the game, and then you have the four unique situations. You have Operation Attila, there's the Third Indochina War, Football War, and then the Second Lebanon War. And you're fighting pretty much second, third string. The second, third echelon troops are pretty weak usually. So these fights are not first echelon troops. You're not knocking guys out necessarily. The way I said it in the video was they're kind of low quality troops, farmers and the like that. So everybody's windmilling. And occasionally somebody gets hit and they go, ow, that hurts. And they go run away. And then they kind of get inspired and they come back in and they fight. And it may sound a little silly, but when you play it, you'll see that there's a constant, just a little, it's not a slugfest, it's just a punching match. And you're going back and forth. And it's a lot of fun. It really is really good. And I think Brian did a great job at capturing the perfect flavor of low intensity warfare in these little brushfire wars, and just really, really fun games.
So you're saying there's 4 separate games then in the individual box?
Yep.
So it's kind of like the Men of Iron tri-pack, similar, but they're
like
each
the old quad packs. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Totally worth getting. So
I have to take a look at that.
That's my spiel, my little pitch to the show. And just because I did a review, if you want to get a little bit more on it, I chat about it without this bad throat right now over during my review, so you can get more information in the review. But strongly recommend getting it if that's the type of game you want to play.
Well, Bill, I will tell you something that I have noticed over recent period of time. You were talking earlier about you guys stepping up and you were doing more and focusing on things. And I got to say, that's one of the things that I had noticed. Now, I don't know when you made the change, and I'm assuming it was maybe a year or so ago, but I noticed especially things like component qualities for your games took a step up. I was seeing a lot more mounted maps, thicker counters, better cards, all that type of the changes that you guys were making to the games that you guys were releasing. So I definitely got to give you props on that I have noticed a significant uptick in the component quality that you guys have been using, especially within, I would say, the past year or so.
Yeah, one thing I will say is that we moved away. See, all our games were made in the U.S., which people didn't know that. Okay, we've made all our games. And that's the problem when you're looking at some of the quality issues, okay? Because the quality of the United States is not as, and I don't want to say this, but it's very expensive to make it in the USA, okay? And so it's so much cheaper to make it in China. So what we did was, for one map games, we decided that we had to go to China for those one mounted map games. Okay, so that's why, and we're trying to do stuff in the United States to make the United States step up as well. But that's the big issue, was all our games were made in the US, and it costs more to be in the US, and you don't get as good a quality in the US. Okay, where I could go to China and pay 90% cheaper for a component, and it's a better component just because of how cheap it is there. So what we've done is we have moved our counters in the United States to we finally found a counter guy in the United States that can do thick counters, which you think that would be easy to do, but it's a different type of die cutting equipment. So very few people in the United States can do thick counters. So we finally found one. So even in our made in USA, you'll see in the future a bump up in the counters as well. In that, but that's the issue.
I wish more people would take that approach, because I'll pay more for a game if it's made in the USA. If I know that, I'm okay paying more for it, you know. And I know plenty of others who think the same route. And if more publishers would do that, we could build up that industry here in the US. We need to have more people willing to take that step and have it brought back home instead of having to have everything shipped overseas. because I mean, right now you're right. Everyone does go over there because it is cheaper, and they've got the industry built up because everyone sends their stuff over there. But if we all collectively stop doing that, start doing it here, we could bring down the cost and bring up the quality.
Well, I don't know if we'll necessarily bring down the cost, but we can definitely bring up the quality.
Well, think it's bulk
I
production.
think,
Go ahead, Bill.
well, but I think the biggest hurdle we had, and we've heard it all the time. Oh, Compass, how can you charge? And I'll say it, a $69 game, okay, that doesn't have a mounted map, okay, and it's got a paper map, and the counters are, they're big counters, so you don't get the big counters help with the thickness problem, okay, because they don't feel as thin. But that's what you get. And then they say, oh, look, we can buy this game with a mounted map, die cut counters for $69. So you're overcharging us. Okay, we've heard this so many times. I just heard it with Folder Gap, which is a $149 game. It's got 6 paper maps and counter sheets, and the cost is around $139. Now you pay a
We lost you there for a sec,
Matt.
Bill.
Yeah.
If you look, you're paying $149 for Stellar Horizons, and you can't compare the quality. Stellar Horizons quality is phenomenal because it was made in China. So,
like I said, you got to put that all over the cover or in the rulebook, somewhere I can see it big, made in the USA. Because for the longest time, I didn't know, and I cover this shit. You know, I've been involved with it for years at this point, and I didn't know you guys produced in the USA for a long time.
I would say a lot of people are ignorant to that, don't know that, because they just go in there, like you were saying, Bill, say, man, why the hell am I paying $100 for this game? I can get the same type of game for, an equitable game for say $50, $60 or, $70, something like that. Why am I paying $20, $30, $40, $50 more? It's like, well, you're paying because you're purchasing something that is made here in the USA, and everybody knows made in the USA products are more expensive than they are overseas. Hence why the iPhone is $1,000 when it would be $2,000 or $2,500 if it was made here in the States.
Yeah.
Well, it's not just like Compass, though. I mean, we're not like picking on them, but
no.
I have picked up other companies' boxes, and I remember being at the game store, and I'm not going to call this company out because I don't want to like hurt people's feelings. Well, actually, hell, I will. I don't care. Everybody knows what I'm talking about anyway. Next War, Poland, I think it was, and I picked it up.
Don't pick on the Next War series. It's a good series.
I don't hate the game. I'm not hating on the game. But what I'm saying is when you pick up the box, it feels rather empty at first, right? There's not a whole lot of counter sheets. There's paper maps in there. It does not feel any different from a Compass Games box, right? Like especially one from like 2 years ago. And they're charging $80 for that box. I remember that's what I paid for at retail. All right. So it's not like going to China is automatically getting you better stuff. That was at least the equivalent for like $15 higher. So yeah, I'll definitely pay the higher cost to know that I'm supporting someone here at home.
Well, the one thing I want to add in before Bill answers that is you're talking about the $80 cost for like Next War. Any of the Next War games. You're talking $150 for the Stellar Horizons. If you're going to be talking about the game, you have to take into account, you're not just talking about the production cost of, having it printed in China or in the United States. You're also talking about the development cost and the designer's time and all the associated advertising, things like that go into all that run the company, that keep the lights on, that pay the people, so that way these games can continue to be published. It's not as simple as, hey, this costs X amount of dollars to print, and we're going to charge this much, and boom. I'll let Bill carry on from here because he knows way more about it than you or I do.
Yeah, the interesting thing, I don't want to disagree with you, but 90% of it is actual production cost.
Yeah, okay, no, I was just saying, but there are other associated costs, so not for everybody.
There are other costs, but really, it really comes down to that it's really the production cost. And the funny thing is, people, I've had negative feedback that says, I don't care. You're charging too much. Have it made in China. I don't care if it's made in US. So there is a lot. It's funny. There's a lot of negativity out in this industry. Okay. And I'm just shocked at some of the negativity that's out there and what people say, and people like get aggressive. I say, look, I'm not, if you don't want to buy the game, okay, because it's costs more and I make it in America, well, then people call you stupid. You ought to, the emails I get on a daily basis, and even the emails that are posted, okay, you'd be surprised at how much are negative feedback. And unfortunately, you just can't deal with those people. So you just deal with the people who buy my games. And that's the only people that I want to please. And we're always trying to do better. And like I said, one map games are being done in China now. Okay, no matter what game they are. Okay, in the United States, we're keeping in the United States all up, and we're upgrading the counters. So I think that's a good balance for us.
I'll tell you, Bill, all right, so everything got shut down for a little while because of COVID and all that crap. And when things started lifting in my area, one of the first things I wanted to do was go to my local game store and buy something from them just to help support the store. And when I went and picked up this because I wanted to buy something that was going to be supporting my local game store and supporting an American keeping their job. I was like, well, Compass has it made in America, so I'm going to go buy a Compass game from a local store. And I'm not the only one that thinks like that.
Yeah.
Plenty of people think like that. You might not be getting a whole lot of emails from us, but we're out there. I promise you. And we're supporting you. Once I learned, I changed.
The negative people make up this much. The silent majority is the one you don't hear from.
Yeah. And I go that if we're selling games, so we're selling a lot of games. So that's what I look at. Okay. Is that and the interesting thing about COVID was Connecticut had shut down. And COVID, one of the first states to really shut down. Okay, and we had the employees that we had, they had to stay home, which was fine, and that's what. Okay, but me and my son and my wife decided to run that sale, where it was like 40% off of everything. And that was us doing all the shipping because we were shut down. Okay. But we would go in, do all the shipping, get all the games out. And again, it was not for us, it was like, hey, people are in this COVID. Maybe they want to buy games and have something delivered to them. So we did that for like 2-3 weeks where it was just us going in at night. Bill was working 18-hour days, just to ship and all, and my wife would do all the printing of the orders. So we do care about our customers, okay, and they're the ones that keep buying our games, and we appreciate everything they buy from us. And so I don't want anybody to think I'm listening to these negative people, but it's just unbelievable. You gotta sit back and laugh at some of the stuff they come up with.
There's a difference between constructive criticism that is valid and understood, and criticism just from the peanut gallery. People just want to complain. Plenty of people complain about the videos I make, and I'm like, have you tried to film a game? It's harder than you think. You can't just do it perfectly. You're going to make a mistake here or there, and people, they'll complain or send me messages. Yeah, it's no different.
It's my response to them too when they start running. It's like running the mouth about content creation of any sort. It's like, hey, great, thanks. Let me check out your channel and see how much you got out there. No, you didn't do anything. Shut up. So back to games though, just the positive things about games. Pete makes a comment, says he's enjoying America Bomber. Was that a hard sell by Mr. Smith to have an alternate future where Germany bombs America? Was that a hard sell for you or not?
No, not at all. He
It was
called me I think he emailed me and said, "Hey, I got a new idea." I said, "Great, let's do it."
nice.
It was a second decision.
So you just had that total trust and knew that he was going to do a great job with it.
Yeah. Yes, and I I've been a businessman for a long time. Okay, and right or wrong, I make decisions in any of my businesses like in 5 minutes. I don't dwell on them. Okay, I'm not that kind of person. I'm very yeah, I have no patience. Okay, and I just make decisions. And he does good games for us, so it was a no-brainer for me.
Now, American Bomber is one of the ones that's kind of in the vein of like Zeppelin Raider or those types, right? Roll the
Yeah.
dice, go by your charts, that type. Okay. Definitely gonna have to look at that one. You keep adding to my list, Mo. You're killing me here. I got
I'm
kids
an
to put through
enabler. What can
college.
I say? That's my job in life. Nick says that war gamers are curmudgeonly, and I definitely agree with that.
Yes.
And this is another good point. Is Downriver Rick points out. He says, just look at the last GMT update to get an indication of the negativity of some. There were people out there. GMT did a thing for the people who lost jobs,
Yep.
where you can send an email in, explain that you lost your job. We'll send you a free game or two. And there's still people bitching. It's like, get over yourselves, people. These are games. We play them for fun. Give the publishers a break and just support them, and appreciate when they support you back. Like when you ran your sale, GMT's doing this thing here. Yeah, I understand that everyone's dealing with a lot of hardship right now with COVID. So it's really changed the way a lot of people are, living their lives and how they're doing business. So just be supportive of it and go out and buy Brief Border Wars right now.
What could they possibly be upset about with GMT giving away free games? I mean, what could you possibly say? Someone lost their job. I mean, that's nice as hell for someone to say, hey, it's not much, but here's something to take the edge off.
Well, the same as like Bill was pointing out. It's like, hey, we're doing a 40% off sale. You're not shipping fast enough.
Really? Oh, and we got that.
Give me a break.
We got that, hey, it's been 4 days. My game isn't here. And the funny thing was, that's when shipping overseas became a big problem. Okay, with COVID, we would ship a game, and it just wouldn't move for a month. It would go to either New York and just sit there, or LA and just sit there for a month. And you get the tracking. I give the people a tracking, and they say, well, it's your fault. And I actually send another game to them, and then they end up and say, oh, well, now I got 2. What do you want me to do with them? I go, just keep it. Not send it back, but no, it's just
that's just one of the fun parts of doing your business, right? Not so fun parts, I guess.
Yeah.
Robert says here.
Fun.
Oh yeah. Robert says it perfectly here. He says, support the hobby. Roger that. Exactly. So, we can all do our part by supporting the hobby in different ways, not just buying games, but giving these guys a break, especially now with what's going on. And when you get a game, and it might be a couple days or a week late or whatever, hey, it's going to be a couple days or a week late. It's beyond the company's control when they put it in the mailing system, whatever it is, UPS, postal service, whatever. So understand that there are things going on there too. And at the same time, when you get a game and it comes in fast, you have or even if it comes in a little slow, you have a good time with it, email them and say, thanks, I had a really good time with this game. So be supportive. Nate?
Actually, I was just looking at something because I thought
I saw that look in your eyes.
A straight thought popped up in my head. And actually, I wanted to tell Bill this. I thought he'd get a kick out of it. When I first started getting into wargaming, I didn't grow up with it, right? I was already out of the military, and at this point, I was already wounded, so I had a lot of free time on my hands, and I was trying to find a way to fill it. And I heard about these war games that were, big maps with hexes and counters, and you could simulate all of World War II and all the cool stuff. And I'm like, wow, this sounds really cool. I've never heard about this. So I started doing research and learning about the games. And one of the first ones I heard about was A Word at War by GMT. And the guy was talking about how it took him months to learn it, and it's such a big game. And I'm like, well, I don't know if I want to go that hard. So actually, the first ever war game that I purchased was Absolute Victory by Compass Games. So props to you. on that one. I had no clue what the hell I was getting into, and I wouldn't make that decision again. Not that Absolute Victory is bad, but I was nowhere prepared for the massive game that came
Went in
in.
the deep end.
If you actually look at my channel, the first videos I ever did were on Absolute Victory, because when I tried to look up videos to learn how to play it, there weren't any. And I was like, okay, well, I'll make some videos and I'll try to help people learn how to play the game. And one thing led to another, and I just kept up with the channel. But all my first videos, you hear me saying, I'm not a YouTuber, I'm not a war gamer, I'm just trying to help a little bit. And I think the designer of the game actually messaged me and was like, well, I appreciate you trying. You know, you did good for a first time. It was probably better than saying, man, that was horrible. I mean, no lighting, no microphone. I had like a tablet I was holding up over the game. It's nothing compared to the stuff I put out now, but it just popped up in my head, and I was like, oh, I think Bill will get a kick out of this. The first game I did was Absolute Victory.
Wow,
Really good game, by the way.
But a tough game for your first, I'll tell you. I don't know. Tough game for your 100th. That's a tough game.
Dude, it was like losing your virginity to a porn star. I had no idea what the hell I was doing. I was just along for the ride. Actually, I have thought about it that I'm going to have to get that game again and cover it now that I actually know what the hell I'm doing, because there's some real neat aspects to it, especially that event system that's in the game. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
I think we lost Bill again for a second.
Yeah, yep.
No, I was really intrigued by it then, but
I'm back.
I need to sit down with it now when I actually understand war games and what the hell I'm actually trying to do. I really need to watch his videos and see how bad I was. No, really good.
Word of warning. Don't go back and look at your first videos. You'll be like, oh my God, was I that bad?
Oh, it was so bad. I was marking on the counters. I was so bad about it. Because the counters in Absolute Victory, they're white on the backside, right? And I was like, oh, well, I'll just take and mark on them and use colored markers. That way I can tell the difference between them. Not a horribly bad idea, but nothing I would do now. I would never deface a game now, you know?
Yeah. Everybody liked your comment.
Well, it was between that or A World at War, and I think I actually got a better price on Absolute Victory, and I like the event system that was described in the game. But damn, that was one complex combat system, nowhere near the normal combat results table that people are used to now. There's this whole reserve system where you had your troops lined up, and God, I can't even remember it, but I remember it was very complex. So trying to understand that then just blew my little mind all to pieces.
Now, what are your thoughts there? Well, now I think Bill is going to be interested now in checking out your video and saying, wow, I want to see how this guy did his first time out with this game.
Yes, I want to see how.
It's not good. Don't hold it as a count for what I turn out now. Excuse me for just one sec. She needs something.
Sure. No, that was funny, but and I just had put up on the screen that John is joining us here. He's getting to be a guest or just a viewer, not a guest or a host tonight. So he gets to sit back and enjoy the show, brought to you by Applebee's, John. And so we're having some fun with that. Now, as far as other things you had mentioned in the town hall, and maybe the people in the show haven't seen that. Like I said, go check out the Compass Town Hall, go subscribe and follow that every other week. But a quick little, going back to a little bit more about you, you don't just have Compass, you have other business pursuits as well, right?
Yeah, I'm actually an accountant by trade, which I don't know how that happened, because I like money, obviously. I don't like, I'm not a detailed person, which is not a good thing for an accountant to be.
Wow.
Not be detailed.
So
oh my God, I'm awful when it comes to numbers and detail unless I want it to be. Okay. So, I had ownership in numerous nursing facilities. I not majority, but all different types of ownership percentages, about 20 homes. I worked in that industry for, 25 years. Okay. As CFO, director of finance, director of operations. And right now, so I got rid of all those. I sold those my ownership in those. Right now, I have a ownership in a long-term care pharmacy.
Mm-hmm.
I have an ownership in a commercial janitorial business, and I have ownership in one nursing home still. So it keeps me busy.
I would
But
say.
by far, Compass has been, to be doing this is incredible. It's by far the best business I've ever had, because it's like a dream to be playing these when I was a kid, and now I'm producing them, running them, and leaving a company that my son will continue on with. So that really is a very big thing for me. So
How avid a gamer is your son?
very interesting. He's a gamer on PlayStation and those things, not a very avid board gamer.
So he's more into like Call of Duty than Absolute Victory.
Yes, yeah, we're getting there.
Good.
But again, it's all business and how you run the business. And if you run the business well, and I think we do, we look, we always need to improve. And really, Compass, people say you've been around since 2005, which we have. But
It's brought to you by Applebee's.
and see, I stopped now, so I'm not still talking when it's off, so I can go right back into it.
Okay, there you go.
I'm getting good at this.
Yeah.
So, we have released one or two games every month for the last 2.5 years. We haven't missed 1 month, which is an extraordinary feat. Is that we don't I don't think of any major company in this industry. Back, maybe SBI did it back in the 70s, but we have not missed a month. And the reason for that is because I got games in the warehouse that are all completed. At any given time, I got 6 games sitting in my warehouse ready to ship to customers.
Wow.
So, because my thing is I won't release more than 2 a month. Okay. I think 2 a month is really the soft spot for us, or sweet spot. So we're well out at any given time in the warehouse. We're out almost 6 months of product.
Wow. That's
that
awesome.
we have already. That's why when COVID came, we were still shipping, because we had a backload. So we didn't miss. When COVID came, Bill was shipping those games as well, the new games during COVID. So we didn't miss a beat then. So
I'm assuming that your son's name is Bill, correct?
Yeah, well, Billy, yes.
Billy.
Because I'm like, is he speaking about himself in the third person, or?
Yeah, Bill's my son, yes.
Let me tell you that Bill makes some really good decisions. It's like, that's you, Bill. I know. Well,
Like, show him your beard. I'm trying to get him to cut, but he won't do it.
This is the playoff beard that John was talking about. He's got that hockey playoff beard going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I approve.
Thank you. I appreciate it. He doesn't, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
The COVID beard.
They don't have any control. I try to move from the father to the they works for me. He has to do what I say because he's an employee, but that doesn't work either. So
as your father, I don't like it, but as your boss, it's got to go.
Yeah, and
beards are in right now. The ladies dig the beards. Go for the beard.
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
Worked for me. I got a pretty wife I don't deserve, so I'm sticking with it.
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
So John says Compass is the Willy Wonka chocolate factory for Bill. Lots of fun and passion. And I will add to that really quick. If you don't watch the Compass show, you definitely need to watch it, because John does a great job hosting it. Bill obviously does a great job on the show as well, but you have to watch what I call the kid at Christmas segment, when Bill starts talking about games and he starts modeling them. He's showing them he's showing them off. And then he goes, oh, wait, there's another one. And John's like, okay, that's enough. And he's like, oh, but wait, I got another one. And John's like, all right, Bill, we got to cut you off. It's just a lot of fun watching you. Your enthusiasm is awesome.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun.
Well, that's the kind of enthusiasm we need to keep it going for the next generations. I mean, that's why I'm trying to get my little boy into it. He's only 5 now, but he loves just sitting with me at the table and rolling the dice and looking at the little tank pictures on the counters and stuff like that. I mean, when he gets older, I'm going to try to teach him. I'm sure I'm going to have to try to fight the Xbox and the PlayStation and all that usual stuff. He loves his little tablet, but I want him to have more interest besides just the electronics, get him into stuff that his dad grew up in. I mean, my dad tried to do it when I was growing up, but I didn't get into his hobbies. Maybe I'll have better luck than my dad did.
Now, how much time do you get to play games yourself, Bill? That's a loaded question, I know.
Yeah. Yeah, it depends on what you mean by play games.
Games that just for fun. Well, 2 things. Number 1 is just for fun, just something you want to play, and then that you just want to play for fun. Could be one of your games, could be anybody's game. It doesn't matter. And then the other is how many times, how much time do you spend playing the games that you're going to be producing, so that way you can check them out and make sure, yes, going to be a solid product, things like that.
Oh, I do that. I do that a lot. Okay. Yeah, I don't think I've played another game other than a company game in years.
Really?
Because I'm too busy doing other things. So
how does it stay for you? Is it able to stay fresh, being able to play those games like that?
yes, because there's just a variety. We publish games that are all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And it's just so much fun because they're games that haven't been that I've never seen. I haven't seen a lot on the topic. So yeah, no, it keeps me. I think I can't remember the last game I played from another company. I just don't have time.
Nate, did you want to read Joe's question there?
I was going to say real quick, it's kind of like what we go through, Mo. I mean, how many times do you actually play a game that you want to play versus a game that you have to or need to play for whatever publisher,
Yeah, that's
no different.
Yeah, it's part of the territory you're in. And that's why I was wondering how much time he gets a chance to play the games he just wants to play for fun.
He's married, like us. Not much. You know how it is. All right. Joe Sheridan wants to know what's the organization at Compass. How do you assign and develop games?
Okay. The games we have project managers, okay, that are assigned a game. Okay. And there's probably 3 or 4 project managers that we have at any given time. Okay. And what happens is they can be the developer on the game, or they cannot be the developer. Okay, so we have what happens is when the Compass team has become the developer on a few of our games. Okay, and when I say Compass team, that's really the project manager is really involved in the development. But from the time we get a design to the time we publish, can be 3 to 4 years. Okay, now some can be quicker because if they've already got systems and stuff like that, it could happen in a year and a half. Okay, but it all depends. That's the hardest thing about being a publisher is the designer, the developer, other than the group of people that work directly at Compass, all have their own lives. So we have designers who, if they have a medical problem or something, they drop off and that's what they need to do is or family issues. We could be cruising along with development and play testing and it's almost done. And then we find out that something happens in his life and he can't get back to it for 3-4 months. So that's why there are games that have lagged because it's just, or games that have lagged just because of personal issues. So we use a lot of outside developers, but again, our inside developers are really our project managers. So when we can't get an outside developer, or when things aren't moving with that outside developer, and some people want to be a developer, and then 6 months into the project, well, I don't think it was for me. So we have to start over. There's a lot of variables that I don't think people really understand, and that's very frustrating, because you think a game is ready, and I've had games where I've actually produced the sample copy, and I'm playing it again, and I have to send it back. Okay, that's how. So it is very, because again, you're relying on a lot of different people, but we do have people on the payroll, or non-volunteers that do stuff. But again, it's every day people's lives get affected with X Compass and developer and play testing. And we do a lot of play testing from Vassal and developing, and proofreading. That's really one of the interesting things, because people are funny, because we get stuff online. Well, nobody proofread these rules by four
Another Applebee's
Bill?
break here.
read by 4 or 5 different people.
Mhm.
Yeah, you can hear that?
Yeah, now you're back. Now you're
Now
back.
you
Am I
got
back? Yeah, those
Yeah.
rules have been read by 4 or 5 people, and people don't. And the problem is that rules can always be improved. I don't care if any game I've ever bought, and I've got 1,000 games in my collection over the years. Okay, and unfortunately, rules are kind of subjective, and the problem is, so that's what we're trying to do a better job on, is where we've gotten some other proofreaders involved, okay, in trying to actually proofread to make the rules better. So that's probably the one thing that we're improving on, okay, and I think every company does that, because I think that's probably something that I feel that every company out there, including us, can do better on rules.
Well, I don't think anyone can fault you guys. Well, I mean, if they understood how much actually really goes into the amount of proofreading that needs to be done, it's amazing to get it out, a rule book out, especially as big as some of these rule books can be, without at least a handful of errors in them. I mean, it's to be expected, but it's hard, grueling work that a lot of people don't take into consideration. And I understand that you guys probably get a lot of flack from people if there's any little minute error with something.
Okay. Folder gap. I'll give you an example. Folder gap was 8 counter sheets, or 9. It had over 2,000 counters, and they weren't generic counters. They were counters that had 4 or 5 different things on the front of the counter. Okay, information. So to proofread, and this is no excuse, because when the first errata comes, Bill can tell you I go off the wall, because nothing aggravates me more than we spend all that time and there's 4 or 5 or 6 counters. You can still play the game, but there's 4 or 5, 6 counters that have the wrong values on them, or something like that. And you hear the negativity, and it just amazes me, because what amazes me is people, like you said, don't understand all the work that does go into proofreading 2,000 counters with tons of numbers. And that's no excuse. Look, I'm not making an excuse, because it bugs me. And every time that happens, I try to go back and look at what we could have done to improve that situation. And so but my point, I guess, is you're absolutely right. There's so much that goes into these games, and especially huge, big games and complex games. Okay, that people's, and I think 95% of the people enjoy it. 95%
people,
of them understand it.
the thing I've seen with it is there's kind of like a give and take, right? When it comes to the quality, the amount of editing that's gone into it before it actually gets to your hands. Because I've seen some companies that it takes them years and years and years and years to finally release a product, but it's almost perfect, and you're almost asking yourself, well, would I have tolerated an error or two if I could have got it a year earlier? And then some companies that have tried to rush things, and they have had more errors if they've tried to meet a deadline for whatever reason. And I would personally, that's just me speaking personally, I would almost rather for a company shoot for the middle ground. I'm human, you're human. I understand there's going to be a mistake here or there. I'm not going to fault you for the little stuff. You know, a minor typo is not a big deal. That most war game companies are mom and pop type operations. You know, Compass Games, DVG, Lock and Load. All you guys have small staffs. You're human. You can't catch every single possible thing, especially in the size that goes into these games. I think for the most part, most people do understand. But like Mo was saying earlier, the loud ones, the ones that are going to send you the emails and, you know, bark up your tree about all this crap, it's a smaller percentage. It's not the general audience that you're really selling to.
Oh, I agree, and I think, like I said, sales just continue to. It's amazing. Our sales this year have been extraordinary.
So we got one from another one from
At
Pete.
this point in time.
Oh, there you go. Now you came back. I didn't know if you completely lost here or you were done, because you were buffering there. So Pete says, I'm wondering Bill's thoughts or preferences on war game covers, photos or art. What sells better? And he makes the comment that he likes the art mostly.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't see difference between the two. Okay. Really? Yeah, no. We have games that have art in them. And I don't see it. It depends on what people like, and I don't think a lot of people make decisions, okay, on the cover of the artwork, or I'm not seeing that on my end.
Mm-hmm.
I don't make a decision based on the artwork.
No, but I can tell you, as a customer in a store,
my preference
will make me pick it up. Go ahead. Go ahead, Bill.
No, you go. I'm done.
I was going to say, as a customer, the art on the cover, it won't make me necessarily buy it or not, but it will definitely decide whether I pick it up to look at it or not. You know, that will definitely draw me to it quicker. The title and the art are the first impressions you make with somebody, whether it's the title on the spine or the art cover on the front, depending on how the game is on the shelf in the store. That is going to compel me to pick the game up and check it out further. And that's the initial step to selling a game to somebody, is you either grab them with a really cool title or a title that they're going to latch onto, or the art. And it won't necessarily make me buy it or not, but it will be my first connection to it.
Okay. And what I would say about that is that I would agree with that 20 years ago or 30 years ago. Mm-hmm. Okay. Problem is 85% of the games are sold online or are not sold through brick and mortar stores. So you don't have a lot of people, okay, going to brick and mortar stores to buy and I'm not saying people know about the game before they go in, number one.
Sure.
Or they know that they're looking for it. So it's not a big selling point like it was 20, 30 years ago when online wasn't, that you couldn't buy online. I think things have changed where people aren't making a decision like on the box cover. They might, but that's a very low percentage of people who buy war games, because most people buy them through online or direct or that route.
So John is offering a proposition to you. He says, so it's in your warehouse. Can I pay you double to ship him Napoleon's Imperium 1798 to 1815? So he's looking to make some deals.
Well, I like the double aspect because I like, but no, I can't do that.
So that's a no.
Yeah,
The
no.
accountant in him loves that idea.
And then
Yes, but
everybody's
the businessman, which is way more, it's funny. The businessman really has taken over the last 20 years. And so the accountant says, yes, give me the money. But the business guy says, no, you're not taking the money. You need to not give it to him. So
there
he
you
can't.
go. So I got two game questions for you. What's your favorite Compass game, and what's your favorite non-Compass game?
Okay, I think my favorite Compass game, and again, there's a lot of thought, is Lamps.
Okay.
I think that because I'm a World War One strategic guy, okay, and I think Lamp for me is I just like Lamps. Not saying, and I like all the other World War One because I play them. So it's unfair to ask me that. So because I like, to be honest, I like all my games, but I would say I have just a little bit. I would say Lamps is my.
Well, that's why we ask you the tough questions, because it's an unfair question. But
Yeah,
wanted to see what.
I point out it's unfair. I knew it was unfair, and I still answered it because I'm.
Thank you for doing that. Now, what's your
Yeah,
favorite non-Compass game?
What's my favorite non-Compass game?
He's going back in the
Do I
dregs
have
of
any-
the memory.
Do I have any other games besides Compass?
Oh God, I would say that one that I would always go to for years would be Victory Civil War.
Okay.
Who's that?
And-
SPI?
No, Victory Games.
Victory games.
Oh, Victor Games.
So I would say that one, and yeah, because I used to go back to that many times and set it up, and
Yeah, sad they're not around anymore. I did like Victor Games.
yeah, I like
Yeah.
their Korean War game.
Jeffrey is saying, how do we sign up to proofread? We have a volunteer in the audience already wants to get involved.
Send me an email at sales@compassgames.com. And we'll get you. We have stuff for you to proofread.
Do you guys get a lot of volunteers just to proofread rulebooks?
Here's what's funny. For years we didn't. For years we really didn't get a lot for 6-7 months. Now that we've been more out there in doing these interviews and stuff, we have gotten a lot of people who want to proofread, who want to play test. So our volunteer base has really, or people that has really gone up in the last 2, 3, 4 months. So that's good for us because we're going to use every opportunity we can to have people proofread and check counters. And we had a thing on Fall of Trebrook, which has like a ton of counters, 5 counter sheets. And John posted online, he was looking for people to just review the counters, okay, to the man. And we got over 50, 60 people respond that they wanted to do it. So that only betters the product. So we're all in to, if people want to help us, or want to get involved. We just, John just hooked up with a guy who's working with us on a monthly basis to get stuff done. So yeah, no, we've been doing good on that end lately. So.
Well, I mean, no matter how good you guys are individually, you can't compete with the internet hive mind. I mean, it can always beat you. I've actually used it before when I was playing a really hard game, Fields of Fire 2, when I covered that for GMT. I've always found that game very difficult. Yes. And when I did it, I told the audience, I'm like, look, I'm going to make errors. There's no way I'm not going to make errors. So I want you guys to flood the comments. Whatever you see, we're going to learn this game together. We're going to do it together. If you see it, edit it, proofread it, do whatever. Send me an email, send me a message, leave a comment, and we'll just work our way through it together. And by doing that, I was able to kind of get a good grasp on the game. So yeah, that's a great idea, using the internet and having a bunch of people just conglomerate onto it.
Robert has one. He says, I had just as a side note, the Sales and Compass Games, that was the email that Bill was saying to send an email to if you're interested in helping out with proofreading. So make sure you definitely send an email off if you're interested in doing so. Robert asks, he says, as you have covered a lot of varied topics, is there a topic you have yet to address or have not done to the level that you really want to do?
Yes. There's a lot of ancient stuff I want to do. Okay, strategic ancient campaigns and stuff. I want to do those. I think I'd like to do a good Civil War game, strategic. So probably the Boer War, which is weird, but I want a good strategic Boer War and maybe a Mexican War one. So those are the ones that. But again, it's in this industry, it's really what the designers want to do. Other than Adam Starkweather, all the other designers have designs that they've worked on for years when they come to us. And so they really are invested in these designs. So it's really not what I want to publish. It's what comes to us. You know what I'm saying? Because a designer, I don't tell designers what to do. They come to me and say, hey, I've been working on this game for 2-3 years. I play tested on Vassal. Will you publish it? I look at it. I go through what I consider my checklist. And then I get back to them and say, yeah, we'll publish it. But I won't turn a game down because of a topic. As you can see, you know, a lot of these topics, major companies won't produce games on some of these topics. But I won't turn a game down because of topic.
Have you guys caught flack over that? Because recently we know the drama that happened with GMT, where they ended up canceling a game because they got a lot of heat from certain segments of the population saying it was insensitive. Do you get emails from people like that concerning some of your games?
Yes, we have. And I think you're saying the correct word. It's a game. And what I always say to people is, well, wait a second. Okay, 90% of you guys have played a World War II game. Okay, and one person's taken Germany. Which
went to Applebee's.
Right now. So how can we go back?
Yeah, we got you.
And you're back. Yeah. He says, and you said the Germans, or the Nazis, and then you held up, and I said, went to Applebee's.
Yes, and they had a good time there, but they don't
go.
Applebee's. I don't think there's Applebee's overseas. Right?
Then
I don't think
Shin, I don't think so. I'm not sure. We'll have to double check with the amount of plugs they're getting here. They should be contacting us and letting us know.
There weren't anywhere I went.
Shin Godzilla says, has companies considered picking up Panzer Group Guderian? L2 tried to do it, but their effort was not looking good.
I'm going to say no, we haven't.
Okay. I mean, is that one you're not aware of that maybe you're going to check out now, or?
No, that's one that I was aware of.
Okay.
And I've actually, it's actually funny because I was actually talking to Art Lupinacci Saturday or Sunday about Russian Besieged. So, yeah, so I'm aware of it, but there's a lot of legalities in that one. So we'll just leave it at that for now. But it's interesting because we actually talked about it. Yes, that sucks.
Like doing Streets of Stalingrad or something like that.
Oh God, no, I'll never do that one. I like that one.
E4 Airman says Compass Games has improved every year. So yes, there is one of the positive comments that people are making, that We hear a lot of those positive comments, just not enough.
Well, I always like to hear positive stuff, but
Sure.
at the end of the day, the positives come in my and this is going to sound accounting, in my financial statements. So
That's
that's the
true.
accountant of me saying.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's very accountant of you.
See, I wear many hats. I could change in a dime.
Nate, you're up.
John Longshore says, I give 2 thumbs up to any and all very topics that aren't Barbarossa. Oh my God, I agree with you there. East Front is flooded. The Boer War sounds awesome. I really like the odd topics that are sideshows to major wars, World War One through German East Africa. Yeah, he's right. The Barbarossa is just flooded. Now, I mean, to be fair, one of my favorite games is the Barbarossa area, but that was a fluke. It doesn't count. That and,
East Front's awesome.
no, Pacific is best.
The problem though is, and I'll ask, I mean, here we have a publisher with us. East Front games are giant sellers. They're very popular. Well, not saying giant sellers, but they're very popular. It's kind of like, Bulge, Gettysburg. They're gonna definitely have an audience. When it comes to the Pacific, though, they seem to. How do you see Pacific games selling in comparison to like an East Front game, Bill?
Okay, here's what I'll say. East Front games aren't what they are made up to be. They're not great sellers, all of them.
Really?
Okay. And I think people have been moving away from those because years ago you did an East Front game, it was going to sell. Okay, that's not always the case now. I have many other topics that I do. I'll tell you what sells for us is World War One. It's amazing. We have 4, maybe 5 different strategic World War One games, and they have all sold unbelievable. So, but you're right, Pacific, you're going to go into it knowing that you're not going to sell as well. Okay, so you know up front that that's not going to sell as well, and that's true. Pacific games don't sell as well but I'll be honest with you. I've seen. Go on.
Oh, I was going to say Pacific has the Marines. I mean, what's not to sell?
Oh, trust me, I'm right there with you, brother. But the thing is Marines are not. East Front, your playing space is this big, whereas Pacific, your playing space is that big, and it's much more difficult to model that and make it really compelling and enjoyable than it is when you have a lot of area to move and there's a lot more maneuver and combat in that type of arena for a game.
Nah, it doesn't have Marines. You know me, bud. I got to get my Marine
But
stuff.
I'll tell you, our biggest seller to date in unit copies is Silent War.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
Silent War. And we're actually redoing that as a deluxe version with IJN, some new things. It's going to be mounted map. It's going to be China. But that's still our highest unit selling game ever.
Wow.
Okay. So when are you guys redoing that? Because I'm going to have to get the upgraded copy to replace my old one. You said it's going to have the expansion in it as well? So like one-stop shopping there?
Yeah. It's going to have the expansion, and it's going to have some new stuff too, but it's basically going to be a deluxe version, and that is going to go to China. So that's a 6-month production delay because it's going to China and the travel and everything else. So probably be sometime next year. It's going to be out.
Nice.
That one's going to be heavy though. It's going to have a lot of counters. I mean, not as much as like Steel Wolves, but it's going to have a lot of counters.
Yeah.
And Shin Godzilla asks, what about a redo of the old classic Caesar's Legions? It was a great game in its time. 3W's Barbarians overloaded it, but the Avalon Hill original was cool.
Yeah. One thing is, I don't know who owns Caesar's Legion. I think it might be Hasbro, which people aren't. Hasbro doesn't sell anything because it doesn't behoove them to sell it because they don't get enough money, so they just keep it. And 3W Barbarians was yeah, I had that game, but no, I don't. Avalon Hill Games. Okay, other than the ones that went back to the designers, like Fortress Europa and stuff like that, if they were produced within the Avalon Hill employee system, Hasbro has them, not giving them up.
True. And John asks, which World War I strategic game is your best? I'm going to say Fatal Alliances.
He already said which one was the best. Lamps.
Yes, I
No.
like Lamp.
That he liked, but I think he may be asking which one sells best.
Which one is the best seller?
Yeah.
I got you.
Oh,
Probably
no.
still Lamps.
Oh, God, Lamps sold out
Mhm.
6 months.
Fast.
And we're actually doing a deluxe version that will be out beginning of the year. Okay, but Lamps was come and gone. Lamps was a great seller. So that's going to be out in January, the deluxe version of that one, because
I've got a little list I'm keeping off to the side here. It
So-
just keeps getting bigger.
So Pete says he's with you, Semper Fi. And
Semper Fi
now, I don't get me wrong, I love Pacific too, but for Pacific, it's tougher. My point is, it's tougher to game and make it compelling unless you're at a higher level. Operational level, strategic you can do too, but it's just tougher when you get on the island. Even tactical, platoon company level, but tactical is tough. You can get down individual squad level tactical, and that's where it really shines. I think the Pacific, but even that's kind of tough. It's just one of the tougher areas to game and make as enjoyable as, say, something East Front, West Front, where there's more maneuver, just because of the terrain and the amount of area you have to cover is bigger and more varied in those arenas, I think, than Pacific. That's just my personal feeling.
Look at it. Some of the games that have withstood the test of time the best are set in the Pacific. Victory Games Carrier. I mean, plenty of people still swear by that game as one of the best solitaire games set in the Pacific.
That little game, Empire of the something.
Yeah, Empire of the Sun. Damn, I had it on the tip of my tongue. And Peleliu, D-Day at Peleliu, D-Day at Tarawa. I mean, there are so many that are set in the Pacific, and they hold up over time, especially like Carrier. I mean, just one of the classics.
Look at all these other Marines we got in here. We got Robert Moffat, his son's a Marine. Pete, his wife, and he. Hoorah.
we're actually
And your
doing-
sons. What's that?
And back to Applebee's.
Is doing a game. John Southard is doing a game for us, Philippine Sea, which is the carrier system. So, and he designed the carrier system back for Victory Games.
Oh, wow.
And another one goes on the list. It's like this big.
He told me that I should forget my wife and give her DVDs, and he wrote that his wife is a devil and dog. So I'm not taking his
Yeah, I think you got that one wrong.
Yeah, it's not quite meant that way there, brother.
no.
You should tell your son Bill, though. We'll hook him up. We'll get him in. Get him into the Marines. He might have to shave that beard, though. Can't have that until after you get out.
He's too old for that.
He's not too old. What is he? Early 20s, right?
No, you're like 42.
Oh, he's too old then.
No, he's 28.
Oh, he's young enough. He can go in.
27 on the 13th of July.
Oh, he's young enough.
Yeah.
Hey, check this out.
The cutoff isn't until 28.
I thought it was 35.
No, well, they'll give you waivers, but
Yeah.
like the official date is 28. I had a guy in my platoon who was 28 when we graduated from basic, but they tore him apart. I mean, they just rode him so hard. He left boot camp with like an 8-pack set of abs because they just quarterdecked the living shit out of him. It's fun to watch, but
The best part.
Why?
But if you want to get in, easiest way to get in, just walk into the recruiter's office, chewing on a box of Crayolas, man. They're going to be like, you're in. You're one of
Yep.
us. And then Shin says, alas, I'm not Marines. I'm Navy. Hey, we got Uber in the house. Thanks a lot for being here.
yeah.
Now, all the
I told
vets
you,
in
Mo,
here,
right?
doesn't matter what branch. We love y'all.
I told you what happened, right, when I joined about the Air Force guy.
No.
He when I went to go to the recruiting station, I had gone with my brother and I was going there to support him. But as we're walking by, one of the things I had been considering was the Air Force, joining them, and I wanted to be a pilot and everything at the time. But as we walk by the Air Force recruiting office, I look in and the Air Force recruiter sitting there, big fat guy, got his belly hanging out on his desk, cup of coffee and a donut sitting there, just looking sloppy. And I look in the Marine recruiting station and they're hoorah everything, battle posters, rifles on the wall, jumping around doing pull-ups. There's some cute girls in the office, and I'm like, that's where I want to be. I'm gonna go there. They know how to recruit.
Oh, they definitely do. I think that's how they get us. But we do have others here: Navy, Air Force, Army. Nate and I are Marines, and a few other Marines in there. So we're always going to pick on everybody, especially the Navy, because that's what we do. But we definitely do love and respect all our brothers and sisters in the military. So it's all in good fun when we pick on each other here. So everybody knows that there's nothing.
My father was in World War II in the Pacific, and know what he always said? He
What's
said
that?
the Army did all the work, and the Marines didn't do anything.
Really? He was
I
in the
bet
Army?
the Marines would disagree with that one.
But that he didn't like the Navy. The Navy was the worst to him. Okay, but he was an Army man, and he used to always say, and I would say, well, didn't the Marines go in? He goes, yeah, but they just went in. We had to go do the tough stuff, okay, and clean up the island, and we came in after the fact.
I think the only place where they were kind of really in a situation where they were together, that would be kind of even on that track, maybe Okinawa. And I'm trying to remember
The
the other one.
Philippines.
Well, there
No,
was
he-
Philippines.
He
There was
was.
the Philippines early, but then
Yeah.
Okinawa at the end, and that was kind of split between Army and Marines on that
No,
one
he
because
was-
Army and Marines both were there.
War, so
He
maybe
was
that-
where?
he was in the Philippines.
Oh, okay, that would be why, because that was
So-
primarily Army.
Yeah. So.
The Army didn't get a whole lot of credit for the Pacific. There are more soldiers there than people realize, but when they think of Pacific, everyone
Yeah.
thinks of the Marines and the Navy.
Well,
So
it was predominantly a Marine, theater.
Yeah.
There was, and there were even actually Marines in the European theater. Very small number of them, but there were there. It's just one of those things that's funny that you find out through history.
Actually, I got a funny one for you. When I was in Iraq, we went through an Army base, and it was right outside of Baghdad. And a buddy of mine, we're leaving the chow hall, and we're on an Army base, so we're the only couple Marines there. We were standing out, and we passed a Marine captain, and the guy stopped us. He's like, "Thank God, Marines!" And we're like, "Sir," we popped to parade rest, being respectful, and he's like, "No, just relax." He's like, "Just talk to me like a human being." He's like, "I just got to talk to a Marine for a few minutes because I'm sick of all these Army guys." He's like, "Y'all just relax." Hey, my name is, I forget what his first name was, but he told us his first name. He's like, "Just call me first name. Just talk to me 5 minutes, guys." And we smoked and joked with him for a few minutes. He's like, "Thank God, I'm going crazy." It was just hilarious because they're so different in thought process while you're over there.
Oh yeah. So I just put up a last call for questions for Bill. We're going to be ending the show here in a few minutes. So I just wanted to make sure that if anybody had any questions, they were able to get their last questions in here before we close the show out. And Shin says, just remember, Marines, when you're on our ships, who has the torpedoes? Torpedoes are great for one thing. Well, a couple of things. Blowing up things is always the fun part, but they make fast rides too.
Yeah.
Ride them, just get on and woohoo.
Vexed. I once dated an Air Force chief's daughter because all the guys on base were afraid to. Does that count?
Give you half a star for that. Has Compass looked at SPI games? My first ever game was SPI's after the Holocaust. Question there from Shin
No,
Godzilla.
Decision has all.
So Decision has all.
Has the right. Yeah, most of them.
I
And-
did not realize that.
John actually kind of jumped ahead and answered that as well.
He's always jumping in thinking he knows stuff.
So he did say that all SPI games are on a license with Decision with a frowny face. So he wasn't happy about that either. And then E4 Amran has a question. Does Compass keep one copy of each game produced in an archive?
Oh, yeah, I have a, yes. Yeah. Yeah, we have copies that I keep
Who
for
owns
myself.
Who owns FGA games? I don't know who
I don't
owns
even
FGA
know.
games.
I don't even know
Not
FGA
sure.
games.
Not
Well,
sure.
We
I
know
don't
it's
even
not Bill.
think they knew who. No, it's not me.
Bill apparently owns all of them.
I say no to that.
But
I got Jack in with that.
and then he does kind of end it up with just kidding.
Did we lose Bill or did he put up the icon? Oh, there he is.
No, he just went to Applebee's real quick.
I'm
No, but really do appreciate you taking the time, Bill, and joining us tonight. And even through, I know you have that. Hopefully, we get your internet sorted because I know that's a point of frustration for you. But it does make for good comedy for the Applebee's spots. And like I said, if you are not, what's that?
That's why I told my wife. I go, it keeps the fun because, but we're working on it.
No, it definitely does. And again, if you're not already tuned into the YouTube channel for Compass Games, definitely do so. John does shows every week, and then every other week he has a show with Bill, the town hall meeting, where he talks about Compass Games. He talks about everything behind the scenes as well as future plans. He shows off games. It's a really great show, and definitely keep in touch with Compass through that show. And also, I hope a lot of people who may not already be aware of it from tonight's show and what Bill explained understand now that there's a reason why that there is a premium cost for some of Compass's titles because majority of them are printed in the USA. So you're going to be paying more for anything printed domestically. And we know that. And everyone's saying, hey, I want to support businesses that are printing here in the USA or businesses in the USA. Here's a great reason why you can support an American company that prints supporting other American companies.
Okay,
Nate?
the only thing I'd like to say is now I know Nate was in the Marines,
Yeah.
right? Okay, well,
Yes.
I appreciate your service. Thank you for your service. Now, the funny thing is, I get it that you were in the Marines,
Mm-hmm.
but I got
Damn Applebee's.
help me with like what Marines. I hope you heard that.
Nope. Didn't.
Try it one more time. We lost you there for a second.
Were you in the Civil War?
Who, me?
Mo or
I know you've been in the Marines, okay, but I didn't think they had Marines in the Civil War.
Marines have been around since 1775.
I was
We were,
saying, but
we were founded in a bar, Tongue Tavern.
were you in the Civil War?
No, actually, I was in the Revolution, but I look good for my age.
I was going to say, you don't have the white hair yet. Well, I appreciate your service too.
Thank you. It was an honor to serve, and I'll do it again in a heartbeat if necessary, even though older and a little slower, not as lean, but definitely still a Marine, definitely still going to be mean, but that's the part of the fun part. But again, Nate, did you have a last thing here for Bill?
I was just going to say that I like seeing all these publishers doing the video series that they're starting to do now.
Mm-hmm.
Compass is doing it. Lock and Load does it. I think DVG's put out a few where they're making more of an effort to reach out and directly talk to people, let them know what's coming out, what they need to be looking forward to. And especially in this day and age where we've got the internet access, that's just great. Just putting the information out there. It's so much easier to find this stuff out. I mean, nobody was doing this 4 years ago when I first started getting into wargaming. So there's just a plethora of information. I appreciate you guys taking the time to do that.
So I got to get off with a couple of jokes now
Thank
that
you.
that Bill started this whole thing. I coined the phrase "Don't tread on me." Apparently, yes, there were Marines in the Civil War. I can attest. I was there. And then I do get apparently I get reincarnated as a Marine every few generations. So apparently I've been in a few wars since I was there at the founding in Tun Tavern too. Ale was warm, but it was good. The whiskey was awesome.
Look, Mo, I love you, but no chesty are you, buddy.
No, definitely not chesty. That's for damn sure. But yeah, no, again, Bill, thanks a lot. Appreciate it. And again, if you're not already tuned into the Compass Show, make sure you do. And Bill, any last words from you?
Nope. Just I'm glad you invited me on. We had a good time, and I just everybody stay safe and enjoy.
Absolutely. And like I said, just did the brief Border Wars review, so go check it out on the channel. Very good game. Strongly recommended, especially if you're into low intensity conflicts. You'll definitely dig it. It's a Brian Train game. That's all that needs to be said on that. So we will see you guys next show, which I'll be posting up here in another week or two, probably some information on that. But thanks for tuning in, guys, and we'll see you on the next show. Good night.
Good night.